Gather around. It's time for the show to begin. Ladies and gentlemen, this is...
Hey everyone, my name is Jason.
Hi friends, it's Desiree Josen.
Alright, there were so many matches this year that were just too much.
So this won't be a shocker because we've had a handful of really awesome matches that we just can't stop talking about.
How many times have these guys fought? Like it's been quite a bit.
I've been saying this all year. They're just so great to watch. We saw the heel turn coming, and then when it happened, nice and bloody, both dramatic and beautiful.
You are now entering the ring with Chutes and Ladders podcast. Here are your hosts, Desiree and Jason.
Chutes and Ladders, greatest WrestleMania build-ups. What's going on, everyone? My name is Jason.
Hi friends, it's Desiree Josen.
CM Punk and Roman Reigns are going back and forth on the mic, and it feels like a chess match. Rhea and Jade stare each other down. The tension alone can break the internet. Moments like this remind of something important. Sometimes a story leading to WrestleMania is just as legendary as the match itself. Des, what are your initial thoughts?
I think it's one of the most important factors of a success is the actual build-up. It could be multiple feuds, but as long as we have one powerful storyline that we are emotionally involved and connected with, that just makes the match in that night even more powerful.
I love it. And listen, we're going to do our top 5. We haven't seen each other's list, but honestly, there's so many. So, Des, let's hear your number 5. Lead us off.
Okay, I will preface this. All of mine are a little bit older. They're not going to be anything new, but I will start with my Mega Powers.
Love it. Okay.
Yes, and it's just because it's no secret, I'm a huge fan of Randy Savage. I'm a part of the madness. But with the Mega Powers being created in 1987, we got these two icons together with Miss Elizabeth, and she was our little catalyst here. But it was, Randy Savage just being super jealous, super controlling, and with Hulk just really trying to take the spotlight, but also just randomly picking up Elizabeth and knowing how jealous Randy was. But it was just like that slow build up throughout the year of, you could see Macho Man just slowly getting even more aggravated and irritated with Hogan. Then he eventually just explodes and was like, "You're looking at my girl, you're touching her, what's wrong with you? You have eyes, you are lustful." And he cuts these promos and he's intensely sweating, and he calls the Hulksters the pukesters, and just this build up to Mania, and it's amazing. And too bad it didn't work in my favor, but it's hilarious. I love it. So entertaining, and it's unforgettable.
Listen, I love it. That's actually on my list, by the way, so you should be
proud. Okay.
All right, my number 5, Cody finishing the story. And I say that because there were so many moving parts to this. He obviously lost a year prior. I literally texted Des right after, what a waste of a storyline. The next year, they weren't even going to have a match until the fans pushed back. And then it got The Rock to flip heel, and he cut some of the best promos. And then the ending of WrestleMania was one of the best endings of any WrestleMania or any wrestling match I've ever seen. And then once Undertaker came out and the crowd, they were shocked, but there's a difference between being genuinely shocked, but they were in shock, and then a half second later they were so thrilled. So again, that was one of the best endings I've ever seen. It had to be on this list. I know it's fresh, but you know what? I definitely think that that was one of the greatest build-ups.
I can't agree with you. I think that was great, and that was one of the first things that came to my mind. I was like, should I put that on my list? But it was an honorable mention in my head.
Fair enough. And again, there's so many that are on here. We can't list everything, unfortunately, but trust me, we love them all.
Yeah.
All right, Des, which rivalry climbs up to the number 4 spot?
I'm going with Shawn versus The Undertaker.
Yeah, that's on my list too.
Yay! And you know what? This one is just super emotional. You know, it's the sequel to 25, and we wanted to break the streak, but this one was career versus streak. And Shawn made it very known. He was like, if I get a second chance, I will end Taker's streak. So this was like his desperation to do it again. And you know what? He cost Taker his title at Elimination Chamber. That emotional buildup. Triple H trying to say, Shawn, you know what, this isn't, no. And then finally Taker's like, fine, let's go for it. And, it's just like another masterclass of a great match, perfect storytelling, a conclusion. It's just that emotional impact as fans that we needed. And like the video packaging even itself was so amazing, and I wish they could do it every year, but it's really hard to top that.
Love it. No, that's it's on my list. It's pretty high up, just an FYI. So I'm on board. Okay, I cheated, of course. I'm not even going to be ashamed.
We know.
But it's the Hulk Hogan three-way tie. WrestleMania 3 of him versus Andre. The stare down is still classic to this day. Mm-hmm. The Mega Powers, which is your background, at WrestleMania 5, Hogan versus Savage. Again, the Mega Powers, it was just such a great overall storytelling. I loved it that they were a tag team at one point in time, and obviously, the split happened. But again, they needed it because they were legit top babyface, top heel, so that had to happen. And then WrestleMania 6, Hogan versus Warrior. Again, that's the match that still gets talked about to this day. You have a guy like Edge that said he was in the crowd, and that was one of the reasons why he wanted to become a wrestler. So there's so much. But Hulk Hogan, he literally ran WrestleMania. They could have called it Hogan Mania for the first 7 years, I believe. So, but yeah, all of these, they had to be put on my list. I couldn't do 111 because there's other ones I loved as well.
Okay, we'll just narrow it down to your Hogan Mania.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Des, midway through the countdown, who takes number 3 for you?
This one is going to be very random, but this one's one of my favorites, and it's WrestleMania 7, Hulk Hogan versus Sergeant Slaughter.
Ooh, I love it. Okay.
It is something that I still remember to this day. When you mentioned about doing this was the first one that came to my mind. Reason being is I feel like this is one of the best heel turns in wrestling history, just because we did not see this as fans coming from Sergeant Slaughter, who was basically right beneath Hogan as like America's sweetheart when it came to wrestling. He represented the U.S. He had those boot camp matches against the Iron Sheik, and he did a crossover with G.I. Joe. So how could you not think of Mr. America and not Sergeant Slaughter? And then when he returns back in 1990-91, during the Gulf War, it was very political, and he comes back as the Iraqi sympathizer, and we're like, what the hell? It was to the point where cops had to be at Sergeant Slaughter's family home in real life. This is a story that he told me personally too, and he was like, it was scary. He goes, people really thought something was going to happen to me. He goes, I had to have police security. My family had to be protected at all times. We didn't know who was going to be after me. And it was this big build up to Mania with Hulk Hogan, the good guy, against our new bad guy. And it was like basically America against the world. And I love that standoff picture of Hogan and Sergeant Slaughter. So that's my favorite. So yeah.
You know what? And I'm going to make an executive decision. I'm going to throw that as part of my Hogan Mania. You sold me. So I
figured you would do that.
Perfect play. I promise we did not see each other's list. No, but yeah, I will say, of all the years I've ever watched wrestling, that was one of the most uneasy. And I knew wrestling was fake even as a little kid, but I just felt uneasy about the whole thing, and I was so glad that Hogan won. But again, they did their job.
Yeah, very believable.
All right, my number 3. And again, semi-cheating, but this is going to be Undertaker versus Triple H.
Okay.
Yeah, so I say that because the year when it came to 27, WrestleMania 27 was not that good. We've kind of talked about this before. But that was a match where obviously Undertaker ended Shawn Michaels a year prior. They didn't know who Undertaker was going to fight. They basically had the thing where he came out to the Johnny Cash song, The Return, and Triple H's music hit. Mm-hmm. He came in, not one word was spoken. But everyone knew. He did the throat slash, Triple H did the crotch chop, and they both looked at the sign, and it was on. That was still, to this day, one of my favorite promos ever. I YouTube it because that's motivational. The fact that these guys are so established that they didn't have to speak a word and schedule a match, that's impressive.
That's so cool.
And then I'm going to arc it to the following year, WrestleMania 28. When he came out, when he was about to fire, what's the goon's name? John Laurinaitis.
Oh, yeah.
And the crowd just erupted, and they went back and forth. But when he said, you can't do what... I know, I had this figured out. You can't do what your buddy Shawn Michaels can't do because you knew Shawn was better than you. Everyone in the crowd goes, oh! And I did that too. And set that up. And I went to that WrestleMania. That was by far one of the best matches. Like, I'm so fortunate that I went to that WrestleMania. But again,
that's so cool.
Yeah, I know. And the fact that, and at the end, I think you even told me when you saw all three of them hugging at the end, at the end of the rampway, like, you shed a tear. And I think a lot of people are very emotional about that too. So, the end of an era is...
Yeah, it's tough to see.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, I loved it. All right, Des. We're getting to, if you want to call it the Intercontinental or U.S. title, who's your number 2?
All right, I'm going with Shawn versus Stone Cold with Mike Tyson.
Ooh, that's a good
as
one.
the ref. Now, I remember this build-up. It was very media driven. This was when we were on the edge of the Attitude Era. Shawn recently hurt his back during that coffin match with Taker, so he wasn't in a good place mentally because he knew he was going to be out for a little bit. He was sort of acting up, being old Shawn. And then here comes, Stone Cold. And he recently won the Rumble, and this was his big push to be that main top guy. And then, with Mike Tyson joining DX, and that was the fun part. And, this was like a big leap of faith for WWF at the time creatively because, this is where they're going to start competing for the Monday Night Wars. They had that really awkward period with Raw with like 93, 94 night. It was just weird. And they're like, let's do something different. And this was a really big risk to add in Mike Tyson and then make this big media event. Yep. And I just thought that was the coolest thing. They ended up on ESPN. It was like must-see TV. And it was like the absolute beginning of the Stone Cold Steve Austin era, Attitude Era, everything. And I can just picture certain clips in my head right now of them walking out of the limos, like meeting face to face. And it was just fantastic. The match, the build up was just perfection.
You know what? That match flipped the ratings war.
Yep.
And there's many people, including Eric Bischoff, that said, look, once they got Mike Tyson, that's when we started to go downhill. Mm-hmm. So, great choice. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't on my list, but I mean, yeah, the build-up of that was amazing, and it literally catapulted into the Attitude Era golden age. Mm-hmm. All right. My number 2, and you're going to love this. Well, maybe, but it was already on your list. The Streak versus Mr. WrestleMania. Both years, 25 and 26. I mean, everything that was tied to that. Remember, he eliminated Shawn at the Royal Rumble, and that kind of started that, and then just everything about those two matches. WrestleMania, we've mentioned this before, that match at WrestleMania 25 is arguably the greatest WrestleMania match of all time, which is saying a lot. And these are two legends. Shawn Michaels beat Undertaker way back in the day. They didn't really reignite the feud till all these years later. To have that in the following year, when Shawn Michaels does a throat slash to himself, I got a little emotional too. I think a lot of fans did because that was a perfect way to end it. But wow, I mean, the whole thing was just so much fun. And anyone that has been following wrestling since they were little, from the start to the beginning, like myself and Des, we remember it was we were very emotionally invested in it. So yeah, I had to put that on there.
Oh, it's tough to watch, but you love them so much.
All right, Des. Who takes your world title for WrestleMania build-up?
I think this is like one of the best of the best. It's 17, Rock versus Stone Cold.
Great choice.
I felt like this was a no-brainer. This is the first thing that popped up when we were talking about doing this, and it's like two icons of when wrestling was at its peak. It was amazing. Rock and Stone Cold. At the time, Rock was the champion. He was the face, and this was when, oh God, he was on fire. And then Stone Cold comes back from injury, and it's like his confidence is a little shaky because he's like, you're the top guy, I'm the top guy, this is where I need to be. And so it's like his desperation of fighting to prove to what we already love. But you know what? He's got some competition, and really awesome promos about legacy. And what was it? They did the Limp Bizkit's My Way song.
Yeah.
That's all I think about. And the match was amazing. Pure entertainment, pure attitude era. It was the best of these two guys that we can imagine, but also that shocking twist at the end when Stone Cold joins alliance with Vince McMahon. Crazy. I mean, that was the controversial part of how great it was fans were kind of pissed off. They're like, really? But you know what? That made great TV. The ratings did drop after that, but overall, just chef's kiss.
Yeah, and you know what? You could actually make the argument that was the end of the Attitude Era. But again, these are two legends. They're good friends in real life. But yeah, that's a great choice. It's not on my list, but it's definitely a great choice.
Yeah.
All right, my number one, and I will tell you, I will be very upfront. This is personal because I was at this WrestleMania. Mm-hmm. I think you already know what direction this is going. But they scheduled this a year before, which I still don't think they've done to this day. And it definitely delivered. I'm going to Rock and John Cena.
Yeah.
and I'm saying, listen, full transparency, I was at that WrestleMania. It was in Miami. The Rock is from Miami. Miami and Boston teams don't like each other, so we already have that. Everyone in the crowd was very pro-Rock. But I love John Cena. But the rap, like the promo that The Rock cut about the "you can't see me" and like that was like saying peekaboo was just amazing. It was so funny. But then listen, after that I was like, can John Cena come back for me? He did. He clapped back in a good way. So, but everything about that was so good. In fact, it was so good that they ended up just having a match the year after. But what's really cool about this too, if you think about this is the new era of wrestling. This was the John Cena era, and The Rock has been X amount of years removed, and he came back and picked up right where he left off. And it's funny because in real life they definitely had heat because The Rock didn't like that John Cena was talking smack about him. So this was it was too good. This is genuinely something that I think about all the time. I mean, like, if you want to watch just some fun promos, I definitely YouTube this.
That is such a good choice, and I think the build-up and those promos of them going back and forth making fun of each other is even better than the match itself.
Yeah, you can make that argument.
It's
Again,
hilarious.
This is why it's my number one. All right, Des. We're going to play the rapid fire game, Road to WrestleMania Lightning Round.
Okay.
Here you go. All right, best WrestleMania promo battle ever.
I might have to go with John Cena and The Rock.
Love it. I kind of flipped it, which I'm very proud about.
Yeah.
Okay. Your personal favorite WrestleMania feud?
You know what? I'm going to go with... the first one I'm thinking of is Stone Cold. Stone Cold and The Rock.
Okay. Great choice. Most underrated WrestleMania build-up? Stuff.
Yeah, I don't like this. You know what? I'm going to go with my Sergeant Slaughter one because I was looking at other lists, no one even considered that one as even like a top 10. So I'm going with that one.
Okay. Love it. One current WWE feud that could become legendary by WrestleMania.
I really like I got two. The first one came to mind was CM Punk and Roman Reigns with those low blows with family and everything. So yeah, you know what? I'm going with that one. That one was really fun to watch.
Love it. Which superstar today would deliver the best WrestleMania promo segment?
Damn it.
I think you just said it.
What, CM Punk and
I
Roman?
think so, no?
I think those, yeah, that's in the back of my head. I'm like, what's different? I'm like, I can't think of anybody else currently right now because, especially CM Punk right now, he doesn't care and he's going to try to do pipe bomb after pipe bomb at this point and whatever. So those two, every time they say something to each other, I'm like, oh, that's a low blow after low blow. So yeah, let's go with that.
All right, awesome. Now listen, final thoughts from Hogan and Andre, The Streak versus Mr. WrestleMania, Rock versus Cena generational clash. What are your final thoughts on WrestleMania build-ups?
They are so important. They are so much fun. And that is the road to Mania. So it's just, us taking that emotional journey with our friends that we love to watch on TV and see, what's going to happen, on the big night. Are we going to get exactly what we want or is something going to be like a crazy twist? So this is what makes it such a fun weekend.
Absolutely. All right, that actually wraps up this episode. Give us your list for greatest WrestleMania build-ups. Shoot us a DM at their Shoots and Ladders. And like always, please like, share, and subscribe both on YouTube and Spotify. Once again, my name is Jason.
I'm Desiree Josen.
All right, until next time, have a blessed day and a blessed week.
Have a great week. Bye, friends.
This has been Shoots and Ladders. Follow us for more content.